Welcome, rulers. I decided to title this particular episode Why Oh Why of the Reframe. Have you ever had one of those days when you had like everything all planned out 100%? You did all of this preparation, you got everything together, and then right before you're supposed to go do whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, you lose everything and it all just goes kaput. So yes, that is the evening that I am having right now. So I did not want to not come on and do this episode of the Reframe because, you know, as all challenges, I'm on the learning curve, and that's just kind of how it goes. So again, welcome to the Reframe, and I appreciate you joining, and I certainly appreciate you extending lots of grace and kindness to me as I go through and try to learn this new technology for me. So yeah, this is the practice run. So I appreciate everybody that's out there that is going along with me on this as I go through this right now. So as I said, we started off a couple of weeks ago with the the 36 questions challenge that we're doing at Live by the Rule. Of course, I am Nicole Macklin. I am founder of Live by the Rule. We are a global community that is committed to empathy, kindness, and self-mastery, and spreading that around the world, trying to get people to heal themselves so that they too can learn to live by the golden rule, which is to love thy neighbor as thyself. So of course, understand you can't really love your neighbor until you learn to love yourself. So that's where the self-mastery part comes in. And as I said, I had the best laid plans for this evening. I literally have been working on this for probably a good hour and a half. And then why, oh, why? Everything just gets lost. And I actually ended up deleting a bunch of stuff that I did not mean to do, but oh well. One must learn to recover. I guess that's what they mean by building up resilience. So here we go. So anyways, back to the 36 questions challenge that I started a couple of weeks ago. Again, in hopes of not only discovering a little bit about myself, I'm hoping that you will find these questions and helping you to examine a little bit more about yourself. And then, of course, my hope is that you will actually build a connection with the Live by the Rule community. So question one, of course, was, given your choice of dinner date, who would you want to have as a dinner guest and why? For me, it was the Dalai Lama, because I think at 90 years old, the fact that he is still out there promoting peace and kindness and compassion is something that really resonated with me. He lived a very challenging life and still manages to really just have a lot of grace and courage. And I really appreciate that and would just love to sit down and have a conversation with him about that. We also had the first episode of the Reframe. So again, Sunday, the question comes out. Thursday, live with me here, live streaming is when you get the Reframe, where we kind of go back and talk a little bit about the question of the week. And sometimes I'm lucky enough to have a guest. So my mom was here with me last week, renowned artist Lynn Marshall Lennemeyer, and she shared with me that her guests her ideal dinner guest was really about seeing friends that she hadn't seen in a really long time, people that live really far away. One of her friends is in Japan, another one is in Australia. And she also mentioned, being able to spend time with loved ones that she hasn't seen, can't see anymore because they're, no longer here with us. And I would just say, recently I have experienced probably, it seems like more loss in the past 9 months than many years preceding. And I guess that makes me very fortunate and I'm very thankful for that. But also at the same time, it's like I lost probably my favorite aunt. I lost my mother-in-law just a little while ago. I lost a dear family friend about 2 weeks ago, and found out about a cousin who was almost like a niece. So just a very young person, lost her as well. And, as I think about that question one, and if you haven't had a chance to put your answer to question one in the comments, please do, because I will be sending out a little something, reaching out to those who respond and sending out a little something to them to say thank you for your engagement. But as I think about, the importance of, do you go with fame or do you go with substance? Do you go with, people that you admire, or would you find more value in spending time with, your friends and loved ones? And I think the one thing that I've gotten from these past few months and dealing with all of the loss that has happened is, just the importance of not waiting to say the things that you want to say, not waiting to make the phone call, or call somebody back or send them a text and check on them. Like, you never know. None of us knows when our time is going to be up. And so, and you just don't want to live with any sort of regret. I think a lot of times people do. They don't get to say those last words and really kind of do that healing, and then you lose your opportunity. And then what do you do with that? So, so as I think about, question one and, who would you want to have? Who would I want to have as a dinner guest? I still would like to hang out with the Dalai Lama. Like, I think he's super cool. But yeah, there's also that one more opportunity to have a conversation or tell, people that I loved, how much I appreciated them and appreciated having them in my life. I tend to think a lot of times that, when people pass away, they don't really disappear per se. They're just not here in this physical form. And so I do find that there still is value in, putting your hand on your heart, thinking about that person. If there were things that you didn't get to say, or there was something that you didn't get to do, go out and do a simple act of sharing and kindness to someone that's here, that's now, and do it with a consciousness of the fact that you're doing it in remembrance of that loved one for that lost opportunity that you had. Because consciousness is everything. And even though they're not there to physically, thank you or to hug you or to tell you how much they care about you, or that they appreciate the fact that you went and did that act, you're doing something to impact someone that is here, that's out, that's living, that is able to really, appreciate that act. And so therefore there's a certain amount of reverence that's there. So again, and another thing with that is, using like your answer, or thinking about your answer to that question about your dinner guests, to think about, like, what does that say about me? Am I someone that puts in the effort into my relationships, my friendships, that I should? Or am I someone that is, hunting for fame or admiration, or, celebrity? And it just, it's like, what does that say about you? What does your choice say about you as a person? So just something to think about. And I do, like I said, I do realize that, cultivating friendships, cultivating relationships, especially with family members, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of patience. And, I bought like a bunch of these little, I guess they're called fidget thing. I don't know what they're called. They're like fidget poppers or something along those lines. But anyways, they're all covered in all these little pop-it dots, like a little silicone thing, and it has all these little dots on it. And I like to think, like, what if my whole body was covered in these dots? And people aren't able to see that I have these dots. It's invisible to me, it's invisible to them. They're covered in dots, I'm covered in dots. And you go around through life inadvertently pressing people's dots and you don't even realize it. And other people are pressing your dots and they don't even realize it. And so the only thing that you really have any control over is, how long you let your button be pushed before you snap it back into place. And really, whether or not, what's going to make you do that? Is that something that you have control of, or you just sit and wait for it to happen magically on its own? And I just, it's like, I like to think that understanding that everybody has their buttons, everybody has their thing that bothers them, and the grace and kindness that I want people to extend to me when I'm dealing with one of my buttons. Try and extend that same grace and compassion to someone else. And so this is always just like a friendly little tactile reminder of just how, just how sensitive people are, and how easy it is to, do something to someone that you don't really mean to do. And I don't think most people really mean to do it to you either. And so using that as a concept, as a way to say, yeah, I'm gonna not do that, or I'm gonna not react and get angry with that person, is really the way I like to think about those. So anywho, that's that. So then there was question number 2, which was, and I'm so thankful that my mom, again, was able to join me to talk about question 1. But question 2 was, would you want to be famous, and in what way? And for me, it was, I really want to be famous for, being someone who chose to spread warmth and kindness and consideration to people that I met. I said I wanted to be known for my hugs, which, I got a lot going on here. So I like to tell people it's the boobs. But anyways, Um, I like being known for being warm and kind. And, again, going back to the whole funeral, death thing, it's like, what is the impression that you are making on the world? If something were to happen to you today, what would be your lasting impact? What would people say or think about you? And I often think about that when I go to funerals, and take it not as an opportunity to be sad, but it's an opportunity to kind of redirect, to refocus, to reframe, to decide that, if I'm not exactly living in the way that I want people to remember me by, or if I treat someone in a way that I wouldn't want them to have a lasting remembrance of that encounter with me, then, great thing is I'm alive and you get to decide not to do that. And that's been a really big thing for me, is to just try to change course. And it's a struggle. I mean, it's not a struggle, it's a challenge, because there are things that happen every day, all day. We're challenged, day in, day out with, 100 times a day, there's something that happens that, somebody pushes your button in some way. And so, instead of looking at it as 100 opportunities for somebody to push my buttons, you can look at it as it's 100 opportunities for me to share my light instead, and to do something a little bit different. And I get it. It's hard. Like, there's a lot going on these days. And so, but you just kind of got to keep pushing along if that's what you are really, really going to be about. And again, a really big reason why, live by the rule, which again, the rule is the golden rule: love thy neighbor as thyself, or treat others how you want to be treated. It's a common phrase or teaching that goes across multiple faiths, right? But it's like the one rule that we as humans have never managed to master. We've tried everything else. We've tried every other rule that's out there, every other commandment, every other, just go do this, except for that one. It's like, and it's the hardest one, but it's the one that, I really feel like we have to embrace. Like, it's an imperative. We are really getting to a point where technology, when it works right and you're not going around deleting all your stuff like I did tonight, but when technology works right for you and it's alleviating, some of those menial tasks that we have to do day in and day out, the only thing that you're going to really be left with is yourself, and your neighbor. And so, who wants to be or live next to a crappy neighbor? So doing the healing, doing the work that you need to do for yourself in order to be able to love thy neighbor as thyself is what Live by the Rule is all about. So again, all I can do is laugh. Like, really, when I tell you I was so ready, and so now so not ready, but it's okay. That was just how my evening went. But I'm still thankful. I'm thankful that I'm alive, and that I'm here, and I have family, and I don't have a lot of followers, but that's okay. I'll get there, maybe not, it doesn't, it's not the end of the day or the end of the world if I don't get 1 million followers. It would be really awesome if I did. But I'd still have so many other things to be thankful for. And I'm sure that if you are in the midst of dealing with your own deletion of all the tech and tools that you have to make your life easier, or you're dealing with whatever other challenge, crazy boyfriend, crazy girlfriend, crazy boss. I've had them all, not the girlfriend, but crazy boyfriend. But just whatever it is that life is throwing at you, lots of bills. I have lots of bills. If you just, even in that, there's always something that you can focus your attention on. And that really is what the reframe is about. It's about learning to look at a set of circumstances, and sometimes all you got to do is just shift your perspective just ever so slightly, and you can completely change how the situation looks for you. And the other thing that I just want to say is that to just always remember that it is all good, even when it seems really bad. Like, you just don't know. We only see such a small fraction of what reality is. That when you understand that you really don't see the whole picture, you're only seeing a little sliver of it. And there are so many endless possibilities out there to how a situation can turn out when you learn to see the world that way and really put forth the effort to see the blessings and not so much see the curses. Like, it's really easy to see the curses. Seeing the blessing, that takes effort sometimes, but it's always there. And you get to choose whether or not you look there or you look somewhere else. And that is really the power of what we have been given from our source, whatever you want to call it. Call it the light, call it the creator, call it God, call it Jesus, Allah, and on and on. But yeah, you get to choose how you see your life and how you perceive the things that are going on around you. So I'm going to perceive that my losing all of everything that I was supposed to do today was a test for me to see if I would not back down. And that if I would still continue to put this on for you. And yeah, I did it. And I did it because I like y'all. Again, as I said, want to be known as that warm and light-filled person. And so sometimes you just got to learn how to laugh at yourself. So that's what I'm doing. But anyways, I wish all of you well. I thank you for your time. Looks like I had a 100% increase in my Instagram following. So thank you, Lynette Brown. Join me. I really appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for your patience and your support. And again, put some thought to those questions. And, if you do have somebody, if your intuition is telling you need to give somebody a phone call or send them a text, then go ahead and do it. As long as it's coming from a good place. Like, don't drunk text and angry text and that kind of thing. But if it's coming from a good place, your heart is telling you that you need to reach out to someone, take the opportunity to do it. Because again, nothing is guaranteed. You just never know when you might be missing out on an opportunity. So again, please follow, like, share, subscribe. I would love to get to 1 million followers. Right now, I'd like to get to just like 200 followers, but it's all good. So yeah, please share this. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Again, it's at Live by the Rule. I am Nicole Macklin. This has been the Reframe. And again, keep looking for that positive, that little seed of positive. And remember, you are the one who controls where your lens gets focused. So feel free to take advantage and reframe it. Look for the good. It's always there. All right. Have a good night. Thank you.